We've talked about, how we think this unit is great and it's going to be well received, but let's be honest, there's challenges, right? We're taking something new on. There's challenges with a module that covers such a massive span of history. I'm already giving the answer to my own question, so I'm going to shut up. What do you anticipate the challenges might be, both like macro and micro? This is mainly, again, to Samantha and to Aaron, but of course, I'm jumping in with all your experience as well, guys.
I mean, time, lack of resources at the moment as well. Other things include not actually seeing somebody who's actually gone through the whole course and has actually done it really well, someone who you can talk to and bounce ideas off of. But all of those aside, I mean, the opportunities are far more, they way outweigh the sort of minor sort of things which you can sort of get in the way of that. I mean, the opportunities with this course in particular is that it's so open, and you can really tailor your curriculum to your own communities, your own local communities, to the students that you have in front of you. And the real trouble with having sort of medicine and crime and things which have been going on for such a long time is that there's almost a sort of a set structure and a set way of teaching things, which with this course sort of blows it out of the way, because you can teach it however you want. And again, where Edexcel have made theirs so open, you can literally choose personal stories or communities which you wouldn't necessarily normally teach. So I have a site which I've been practicing my new inquiries on the sort of traveller community.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have not even seen a curriculum which actually addresses the sort of their community and sort of the persecution which they've gone through throughout their times whilst being here. And, I've just seen them light up with you're actually talking about my history. They've never had that before.
Yeah. I think, when it comes to teaching and learning around Gypsy, Roma, traveller communities, there's I can just picture that there's definitely reservations about doing that and nerves about doing that. So if that site has a chance to talk about, not shout maybe, but to share what they're doing, I'm sure that would be really welcomed by a lot of other schools with pupils from those backgrounds, for sure. Samantha?
Yes, well, I agree with Aaron. I think resources are always going to be, a challenge, especially at the moment. I know more resources will be published and that will be helpful, and subject knowledge as well. But again, I think, the opportunities outweigh that. It's a real opportunity for any history department to build their curriculum and choose their stories. And the resources that I've seen, the Pearson book, the Hodder textbook, it's full of stories. And teachers can choose the stories that they want to use to illuminate the key points in the specification. My colleague and I, we spent quite a bit of time over the summer working with our local archives and collecting accounts of migrant experiences. I teach in a school in Chatham, in Medway, and we were collecting experiences of migrants in Medway, newspaper articles, etc. And we're able to build those into our curriculum in a way that other units wouldn't really give us the opportunity to do. So I think it's there are issues with resources and coming out, but there are other places to look. We stole your disc idea for our open event at the weekend, and we had parents viewing the school and asking them to write about their migration stories. And already we've collected so many discs of additional stories just from the weekend of people that walked around, and some of them spent ages really writing their stories and giving us lots of information about, how they came to be in Britain. And we can now build those into our curriculum as well. So I think there's opportunities to look in new, different places and build a really interesting curriculum.
Thank you. Yeah, Samantha is referring to the story discs that are just on the wall of our shop as you come in, and they're an incredible collection. They are our Migration Museum collection. That's what we have as a collection, and so they really do invite people to share anonymously their stories, and people really pour a load of heart and soul and detail into those discs. So I can hook you up with our printer and the templates if you want them for your school. That was something I can share with you.
Could I add another?
Yeah, I just want to say one, and I'll come back. Just one thing is that it's possible I'm mentioning Twitter too much, and I'm sorry if I am, but it might be a problem. But Samantha, pardon me, is really strong on sharing on Twitter. She's writing the Hodder, involved in the Hodder textbook. Involved, right? And obviously Joshua is involved in the Pearson textbook. But you've already promoted Joshua's textbook. You're always sharing things that other teachers are working on. So do follow each other and do kind of keep an eye on what's being shared out there, because I feel like this is there's such a need for that at the moment, especially if you're teaching it either now or in January in this first year.
And I would urge any history teacher, go to your local library, go to your local archives, because there are some great stories there that your students will connect with straight away, because it'll be a place or a road or possibly a person.
Yeah.
Because we found that fascinating when we started doing our research locally.
Thank you. Yeah, Martin, what were you going to
Just
say?
a couple of other challenges. I think one challenge that teachers may feel is being worried about getting it wrong, particularly because of realising that these stories will feel sensitive to students. The very fact that it will connect with them, that means that you're worried about how you teach those and about the way in which you approach them. And I think that's something, that the more sharing of experience on that and the more on that, I think that's really important. I think another thing that's a danger is falling into sort of emphasising the negative. The experience of migration and the experience of migrants to Britain has been very mixed and complicated all the time. I always remember Professor Mark Ormerod, who sadly passed away from York University, and saying that, well, we know that there were massacres of Flemings during the Peasants' Revolt, during the Great Revolt of 1381, and we know about Evil May Day in 1517, I think it was, when apprentices attacked. But they're the only two cases in the whole of the sort of Middle Ages that we actually hear about. And if there had been loads of other horrible experiences of attacks on strangers, i.e. foreigners, we'd have kind of known about them. And the fact that we don't know anything about them suggests that for most of the time, the experience was a relatively positive one. And he always says that in the Middle Ages, everybody in England was no more than sort of 10 miles away from an immigrant. And the importance of, this is talking about everyday life, and that everyday life is not all about the very big explosive events. And it's really important that from most people's experience, it's about working, studying, living, falling in love, and in the process of that, changing this country.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's going to be the way to connect in with your students is where you can really starting off with those personal connections to migration in your classroom in front of you, and then taking it into the history.